So, Gimel, Amud, Aleph, V'lerava, so after dealing with Rabba's whole thing, now the Rabba to Amar Lefisha Ein Eidim Mitsuyin, L'kaimo, so the Eidim aren't there, so that's why we need the Eidim to come Bifnei Nechtav. Liboy Trey, so that Rabba should need to. And we've asked all these questions on Rabba, but now we're going down the other side. That was for Lishma, this is for L'kiyume. Meaning to have a Kiyum stars, the Alma, all stars need two, 8 Echonim and B'Yasurim. So one aid is believing the surim. Now again, as we said last time, that's a heter, right? So one aid is going to come and say, even though it's asur, the one aid is going to matter the isur. Emer darmin an aid achanim and b'surim could go on chaticha safek shel chelev, safek shel shuman, delo it chazek gesura. So there we have a cheskas isur, aval haka it cheskas gesura of the eishes ish. So again, that's enough for Cheskas Isra. What's this Have Davar Sheba'erva? Is it Va Have Davar Sheba'erva, which we dealt with last time? The Ein Davar Sheba'erva Pachas Mishtarim. So don't tell me the Eid Echo name, and certainly we need two. But then who to be key and stars nami lo libui. So really, it's in Kiyim stars we don't need. We don't need to do Kiyim Shtaros. What exactly is he saying here? Really, but then what the halacha is that in Kiyim Shtaros we don't need. Like Reish Lakish, Reish Lakish, Edim HaChoitmin al Shtar Nasa Kamishin Ekra Edis and Bebeistin. So what are we saying here? We're saying here that the aid, that the star, see what is it? It has a Kiyim already. Adam that sign on the star are made there already nachakar edis bebeitin, so it's a good star. So Beit Adam just do it. So therefore the shaliach is coming with the star, and we make him makayim it with one aid. The rabbanon hu de itzrach with one aid. So the rabbanon hu de itzarech, the two people to say it's a good star, kiyim staros. The hakam ishomiguna ikulu ba rabbanon. And here as to be makel on the woman because of a guna, therefore we allow just one aid to makayim the star, because really we don't need any kiyim star bichlal. Then the rabbanon needed you to need two aidim, and here we're makel. I'm just going on that we just need one guy to be makayim the star, as it's a makel for the iguna. And then we say hi kulihi hi chumra here, which we go on. Okay, so kiyum shtaros we don't need to rise. So what does that mean? So that basically means that a star that comes in and is written and it has two signatures on it, we don't know if it's a good star or not. So if I say that it's mezuyaf, that your star is mezuyaf, you're making up the star. So there you have to go get the two signatures verified, which we have spoken about before. There's three ways to verify it. The Eidim say that's our signatures. Other Eidim say that's their signatures, or we compare it to other signatures. So as long as I'm not saying mezuyaf, so then it's just a good star. That we have like a kiyum of the star. So this seems to be a it's like koyach star. That the star has, you walk in with star, it has this amazing power. And Rashi says something here which we'll have to come back to, probably further up here. Nasa kamishin akro edim bebeistin to lo chatzif inshi liziufe. That people won't be chatzif enough, they won't be chutzpah enough to mezayim a star, so they won't be just make up staros. So here the Penei Yeshua says in it dahavile kemilta daavid le igluye, that if he is makayim, if he does make a star that's sheker, so then people will the guy will say it's mezuyaf, and then they'll look into the beis din, they'll look into the signatories, and they'll see the signatories aren't true, so therefore he'll see that he's making up full stars. And now an issue here with the Penei Yeshua is that sometimes it's not avid le'egluye. For example, what the Democrats do for voters, that you find some dead people and then get them to sign it. So you'll never know if they did it or not. where you have some people. I mean, if I was to do it, it's too clever to use dead people. I would just make up people that don't exist, and it was Moshe Cohen, and Yehuda Cohen. I mean, whatever the names, like, how the hell are you going to find who these people are? And then you put it in, and you scribble some crap down, and then whatever. So then that's not going to come out. But that's how the Pnei Yeshua is explaining Rashi's idea that when you come into a star, it's like it's got a cheskes kashrus on the star to the point of like deraisa that you didn't need to do a kiyum in it, and then the kiyum is only the rabbanon. So again, as we had before, this is the whole thing that we had before in the Tosis on the first daf, is that do we time the mezuyah or not on the star? Because if the star comes in, it's already mukrim, so seemingly if this fits into Tosis, so therefore Tosis is only the rabbanon, the whole thing's the rabbanon, and deraisa we don't need it, which also fits in because Tosis is really talking about a takana. Because if we don't say mezuyah, then people just make up staros, and people just make up stars and claim, so that could fit there. So there's a Rambam that basically says that all stars are the rabbanon, and it's all made up because we have the basic idea of Adus, on two Edim, Yikayim and Dover. There's a thing called Adus. Where do we get Bechlal that if I write down on a piece of paper that you can have some type of deraisa nafkaminas? Where does this come from? So Rambam, Din Torah, She'em Mekabel Adus, Lo B'dinim Mimon, Lo B'dinim Nefashos, Eila Mi Pei Ha'edim. It has to be from the mouth of the Edim. Din Torah, Dinim Mominus, Dinim Nefashos. So Nefashos is maybe a bit more posh as opposed to writing. If I write down a piece of paper, A kill B, and we get two people to sign it, you're going to kill A on that, on that star. But he also says Mimonos. Dine Mominus is you owe me $100 and two people sign on it. Shnemer al pi shnaim. This is what the Torah says. Al pi shnaim edim mi pay him v'lo miktav yadam, from their mouth. We need the edus from their mouth and not from the ktav yadam. Aval midivrei seifrim shechotin dinim Mimonos be'edus shebishtar. So it's look at this. We have a rabbanon din that we will give psak din based on a star. So it's really it's just a mechanism in order to allow people to give loans. And the simple sugya is that the Ramban is choylek on the Rambam. So here's the Pnei Yeshua bringing down the Ramban's kashas on the Heksha Ramban al Mashakos of a Rambam. So he quotes the Rambam. That's what our sugi is saying here. That's Bedin who became stars nami lo liboy. Yeah, v'rabbanon who itzrich. So seemingly the deraisa you don't need, and the rabbanon are opposing you. So you have a cash on the Rambam sheet from here. You also have Gittin and kedushin, and we're going to need this really for the end of the shir if we get that far. But we have a difference between Adei Raya and Adei Qium, which we have discussed multiple times, which we'll get into. But it says Kosav La Sefer Krisus. You write to her a Sefer Krisus. It says in the Torah, Kosav La Sefer Krisus. And then we learn Shtaros Moment from Shtaros Gittin, and off he goes. So that's kind of like the Ramban, everything's deraisa. And then the answer for the Rambam saying that a Shtare Qium is different to a Shtare Raya. So a Shtare Raya will be that I don't need the Shtare, or I don't need the Raya in order for it to be true. So you owed me $100. If I have two Adim that showed me you owed me $100, I can claim. But if I don't have two Adim that show that so you loan me $100, you still owe me the money. I just have no way to prove it. Adi Qium is where you need the Adus in order to have for it to exist. So if you give money to a woman without Adim as Kedushin, there's no Kedushin. If you give the get to a woman without Adim, we'll have to see what that means. If there's no Adi Qium, then there is no Gittin. So there's certain things. It's basically Kedushin and Gittin. You need Adi Qium. The main reason is that since it's a davar erva, and therefore people can live or die because this woman now is like Osir or Mutter. Now, are you allowed to have relations with this woman? Well, it depends if she's had Kedushin or it depends if she's had Gittin, and therefore these things have to be done with a certain level of Adus. And then there's a Shaila as to whether Nesuyan needs Edei Kiyum. There's a Shaila, and so you have, so Edei Kiyum, if there aren't Edei Kiyum, the thing never happened. Even if, so if you give a woman a ring, there's no Edei Kiyum, there's no Edem on it, you're not Megudeshes in any shape or form. So then some answer for the Rambam saying for Edei Kiyum, he agrees that there's a star, there's a star for Kedushin and Gittin, and for everything else he doesn't. I really like those answers. Rambam saying there isn't such a thing. Let's be Medayik. But basically, there's a big machlokes there. What's going on with the how do shtaros work? Are they deraisa? Are they derabbanan? Are they good? Are they bad? Whatever. That's basically the Rambam in one corner, Ramban in the other. Now this is the Reish Lakish. It comes from this Mishnah in Kesufos. Ha'edim she'omru kasav yadenu huzeh. So the Edim are makayim the shtar. They say, yes, this is our ktav yad. This is our signature. Aval einsim hayinu katan hayinu poislim neidus hayinu haray elu ne'emanim. So it's those. So they believe this is really a case of the tochadei dibur, because this aval happens immediately after, and you have a bit of pesha osir, pesha hitter business going on here. Im yesh edim shehu kasav yadam. So again, there's three ways to Mekayim the star. The first way is here the Edim say that's our handwriting, but then the Tochadei Dibur they say it's not true. Katav Yadam. So other Edim say it's Katav Yadam is the second way to Mekayim the star, or Shahaya Katav Yadam Yotim Memakam Acher. So the Rashi says. Choytim b'shtar echar shechusek b'beisim v'kotov bo hentpak v'bo oito shtar lefnenu im zeh kotov choytim duimim zeh shel zeh. So this is the idea of duimim, that the signatures look similar. So that's the third way to do it. So therefore you have eino ne'emanim. So you have a kiyum of the shtar. In the seifa here the shtar is mekayim, and in the reisha the shtar is not mekayim. And therefore, without a star kiyum, the Edom come and say, "Are mekayim the star?" But the Dibur saying it's a postal get. And in the Seifa, it's a mekayim star, and therefore they're not believed to go against the mekayim star. Now, Amar Rami Bar Chama Lo Shanu. So this is going on the Reisha. Sorry, in the Seifa Lo Shanu. De'im kosav yadon yotzi b'mokam acher ein ne'emonim. So where does it say ein no ne'emon? It's in the Seifa. So Rashi tells us. So Rami Bar Chama is going on the Seifa. Where do they say anusim hayim machmas monon? There they're not believed. But if they say machmas nefashos, they are believed. So if they say that they were going to kill us, they're believed. Now on this, in the Seifa, to say that they're believed, even with the case of they were going to kill us, Amalei Rava kol kamine, are they able to retract this, go against the shtar? Kevin shahagid shun eina choizer umagid. Once they have given over their testimony in Beis Din, they are not able to retract their testimony. And this is basically the din, and we have seen it before. And this is Kesufos. We did some of it in Kesufos, I think. Where basically, once you finish your testimony and you go away, you can't retract it. Otherwise, you can't do anything. I think it's to do with Hazama. Maybe we did it in Makos. Where in order to have Hazama, there has to be like an endpoint of your Edus. And then once you give it, you can't be choizer magid. You can't change your din. So once your dibur is finished, once your edus is finished, so therefore you can't go any further. You can't retract it and change it. So therefore they have v'kitema hani mili elpeh. That's all if you have it, but not in a star. B'shtar lo v'ha'amar Reish Lakish edim ha'chot min al shtar nasa kamishin echukra edus b'beis din. So this is what we have in our so that edim that sign on a star, it's like they are nechukra edus b'beis din. So question number one is Reish Lakish is only talking about kevin shechagid shuv eino chozer magid. So what's it got to do with kiyum shtaros? What's it got to do with our Gemara? So here, Ein davar sheba ever box mishtayim. I need two people. So really, you just need karm stars. We don't need. Why don't I need to Mekayim or star? Because Reish Lakish says you can't be Choser Magid. Kesher. What's the Kesher between what Reish Lakish is saying and our Gemara? Right, so you can use the Koach of Reish Lakish to say that why is it that what you say in a star you can't retract? And it's because it's like Mekabel and Based in already. Then once you write the star, it's Mekabel and Based in, and therefore it's already Mekuyim. So therefore, from Reish Lakish saying that you can't be Choser Magid, say Edom Achutim Al Star, it's Mekabel in Based in, and you can't be Choser Magid to the place of Nasu Commission Nectar Edom of Based in. So therefore, from Reish Lakish we can learn out that the koyach of the star is his koyach. It's the same as peh, and it's like two Edom come and they come to base and they finish, and therefore in the star, so therefore we have this koyach of Edom and based in, and therefore it's like the star is super mekuyim, and therefore just like Edom, when they give Edom and based in, we don't need to mekayim them. So too when you have a star and based in, we don't need to mekayim them. So that's all good. So now the issue with Reish Lakish is that Reish Lakish here, this star that's coming to based in, is it mekuyim or it's in a mekuyim? The shaliach is holding the shaliach coming into based in that we're saying davar sheba arva pachim mishtayim, we need two, but so is the guess that the shaliach is coming into based in is the mekuyim or it's in the mekuyim? It's ein mekuyim, and the whole thing is we're saying that we allow him to be mekayim with one. That's the whole kula. Now here, this whole din is that im katav yadam yotzei mimokam acher ein ne'emonim. This is all in the seifa. In the seifa of the Mishnah is where Reish Lakish is saying it's nechruka edasan. So therefore, in the seifa of the Mishnah, that's where Reish Lakish comes up. But in the Reisha, so then Eila Kitmar Reisha Itmar Hare Elu Ne'emonim. So they're believed, so they can retract. So here in the Reisha, they can retract. Why can they retract? Because he's just saying that. So when they say we're oinsim machmas nefashos, there they can retract. Well, oinis machmas mamun, you can't name on why. And out meisim masma rash, it's a whole different din. So the whole Reisha is where it's ein mekuyim, and that's not where Reish Lakish said it. Reish Lakish Taka said it in the Seifa. And if you so the whole Reisha here is where it's ein mekuyim. And if you look at the Meforshim here in Kesuvah, say Reish Lakish is talking about where does Reish Lakish say ein mechatem al star? And that's the commission of Edis based in. They'll say that Reish Lakish is talking about a star mekuyim, where so therefore he doesn't fit bechlal into our Gemara. So it's always nice to see. Here's the Ritva. Ikasha my raya my si mahai to Reish Lakish. The key amar Reish Lakish edem chotzim al star nazik commissioner klara hayinu le'indin she'eni chol lam mishuv mebuitim anu, we were lying ubishtar makuyim. The Ritva says it befeirush. Reish Lakish is talking about a star makayim. Aval star she'eni makuyim the ikles vuke the shema lo chasmu edim me'olam el muzuyaf hu baha manala. How do we know this? Right. So this is a question. How do we, if we don't have any kiyum at all? So he answers this. I don't understand. The after the kim lahu, the Reish Lakish, even with the star einem okuyim, he's also talking about einem okuyim, and he goes through it there and he says the einem mechuvar. Not so clear. Stama edem chotim al star kamor velo amar beferish star mekuyim. Because einem okuyim nekra edusam in the Torah and the Shkram and Rajaran. Yeah, but these are all nice words. But the Gemara over there, Rava is bringing it as a star mekuyim. That's where he's bringing the Rava and on the Reish Lakish. And you can't be choizer. You can't be choizer on a if it's not mekuyim in that Mishnah. What's happening in the Tefaረት Ya'akov? After Reish Lakish lo ma'iri klal in קיום. See again, Reish Lakish is not talking about קיום. Adarabba, in mekuyim, yecholim lachzor v'chagid. He said, look at that. If it's not mekuyim, that's exactly what Reish Lakish is saying. Yeah, if it's not, that's why learning at Kesuvos is important, right? If it's not mekuyim, you can be chayzer magid. That's what the Reish of the Mishnah is saying. Mikom makom ma'isi shapir. I just don't understand any of the truths. The answer, but I don't understand the truths. It's a good. It's they put it well. Because if you hold that you need the kiyum midaraisa, so then all shtaros have no hakar beklal, and then for sure you can be choizer magid, because you haven't said it. It's nothing. This unkaim shtar is nothing. For obviously you're choizer magid, or to have him mipi ksavtam, kevin shalom nigmar as a davar. So basically, when you're talking in based in, you're always allowed to choizer magid until you finish. You have to reach a point of finishing, and then it's called you can't be choizer magid. So, aval imid raisa lo boy kiyum shapir havik kimoshenekra based in. So as he's saying, like if there's no chiddush, if you hold that it's only your star she'ena mukiyum and a star she'ena mukiyum is nothing, so therefore there's no chiddush, and obviously you can be choizer magid. And therefore, the whole chiddush of what Rav Reish Lakish is saying is going on the even a star she'ena mukiyim, because that's the chiddush of Reish Lakish. Because otherwise, it's not a chiddush of Reish Lakish to say otherwise. I don't know. I don't think it's where it is. However, we can say that the star is she'ena mukiyim has a level of kiyum, that the ikar reason really is this Rashi, the lo chatzifanshi le siyufe. So I cannot prefer that, because I don't really see how Reish Lakish fits in Kesuvos. If again the Ritva is saying the Farish is going on a star she'en mukiyim, that's what the pshat of the Gemara and the Mishnah is. Again, if you learn the sugi over there, they're all saying Reish Lakish is talking about she'en mukiyim. So. Yeah, just go that with this Rashi. That really the issue with Reish Lakish is that it's the lo chatzef inches le ziyufe. Therefore, it's a good star, and that's why it's good for Rava. So therefore, for Iguna, they were makel and allowed kiyum stars with just one. It's a chumra. If he needs meshachlei trey lo ati bal ma'aru pasul le. Chad ati bal ma'aru upasul le. So, because if we needed two, the Baal won't come. Since we only need one, he will come. So, since Amar Mara, how many do you have to give it in front of? And he say two or three. So, therefore, he'll be careful, and he won't come to Lori Nafsha. He won't come and destroy himself. But Rava, Maitan Lo Mark Rava. So that's the end of Rava. And now, so we have the two of them. Why they don't need two Adim, and one's enough. So now Rava, why doesn't he say like Rabbah? Amar Lacha, Rabba says. So now Rabba says it's for Kiyum Shtaros, and Rabba says it's Lishma. So why don't we Lishma? Mi Katani B'fnei Nechtav Lishma. Seemingly, this is the Iker Kasha on Rabba, that the whole thing's kind of missing from the Mishnah. And when you read it, you wouldn't really say that Lishma is the Iker, and like what's Rabba Lishma? It didn't say it anywhere. So the Mishnah never says Lishma. B'fnei Nechtav Lishma. It doesn't say that. So Rabbah answers really, who delisni hachi really should have taught it that way. Ele di mishpat le dibura. So if you extend or elongate the words of how much he has to say, go from 4 words to 6 words, atile migze, he'll cut off some of the words. He'll come and not say it properly. Now, what exactly is going on here? It says Hashtanami ati lemix. He'll also cut it off here. So because he has 4 words to say. Chadam milta guys, chadam mentarti lo guys. So one thing he'll cut off. So if he's saying the idea, he'll use 2 out of the 3 words. But if he's only got 1 from 2, he won't guys. So like what exactly is the thing here? So Rashi lo emru kol, you won't say all of it. I'm reading like a man kol hamishana mimatbeya shetoivu chachamim begitin havlad mamzer. And Rashi makes this sugi a lot easier, but it's this is going according to Rebbe Meir, and we don't post him like Rebbe Meir, so therefore it's a bit difficult to apply this to the sugi. But maybe the sugi is going like Rebbe Meir. And this is the easiest way to learn it. That kol hamishana mimatbeya. Shetivu Chachamim. Chachamim said that you have these 4 words to say, and therefore, if you don't say those 4 words, you've screwed it up. At least this is how Rabbah will understand it, because we'll see that Rava probably doesn't agree to this. So then Vlad Mamzers, you have to have the exact wording. So therefore, if you have too many words, you're encouraging him to screw up the wording, and therefore you'll cause Mamzers. So Chada Milta Tevos could go on Bifnei Nechtav Lishma. That's one matter. It's only one matter with 3 words in it, which is just Bifnei Nechtav Lishma, and that I saw it written Lishma. The Zin and Lo Amar Ela Bifnei Nechtav. You'll leave out the one word. V'kakom Bifnei Nechtav Umemela Shailin and Lei. So you won't cut it off. So you'll say the 2 words Bifnei Nechtav. You'll say that because it's one of the 2. You won't say. You won't just say Nechtav. You'll say Bifnei Nechtav. But if it's 3 words, you'll leave out the word Lishma, and that'll screw it up because it's not the Matbeya. So and then Memela Shailin and Lei. Again, so we had this before. Inechtav Lishma v'amrin inami stama Lishma ka mesahadiv. So here again we had this the Rashi. We said this before that only after the Moskana of Roiv or Boki do we have that mistama Lishma, but before mistama wasn't enough. So that's this case that it doesn't say Lishma and we can't say Lishma. Rava doesn't accept any of that because he holds just say Lishma in the Mishnah. So Rabba, my time lo amar karava, amar lachaim kain nisni bifnei nechtam v'zulo, bifnei nechtav lamali. What do I need? Since the whole thing is for kiyum shtaros, just say bifnei nechtam. Bifnei nechtam, that will be the kiyum shtaros. I saw the edim there. We have kiyum shtaros, beautiful. I don't need. It was written because I don't care about Lishma according to Rava. So b'fnei nechtav, what do we need? Lishma minabi in Lishma. Why do I say b'fnei nechtav? I need a written Lishma. Again, the kasiva is on the toifes, and the toifes is the name, his name and her name, and hareis mikareshes or whatever. So Varaba answers, "B'din hu delisni hachi." Really, you should have said b'fnei nechtav. That's all we need. Sorry, b'fnei nechtam. That's all we need. And you'll get stuck with you'll think that that a normal shtar mammon, because once you see an eid echad say that it is kiyum, that bifnei nech, we're mekayim shtar with eid echad, that'll be enough for mammon as well. Therefore, I have to say bifnei nechtav in order to show that this is different from shtar mammon. Rava midami. So Rabba answers it's similar. Hatam yadinin haka bifnei. So what this means is, the Rabba is saying is similar. So over there, you say, yad, I know. We know that the chatima. You see the chatima. You say, yeah, I know that. I recognize that signature. I know that signature. That's what you say over there for a moment. Here you'll say bifnei, that it was written before me. Not that I recognize the signature, it's before me that I have it. According to Rabbah, where you need to be lishma, recognize the signature ain't going to be good enough. So therefore you have to say bifnei. Now, Toys is here, haka bifnei, aval yadati ein moil. So yadati, that I know it, isn't going to help. V'taima dekasha amar bifnei nechtav v'nechtam daich tefei. That he'll be more careful. Why is he going to be more careful by saying bifnei nechtav rather than saying yadati? Demara anafshei toiva, because he's putting himself into a bad position. Kashamar bifnei nasa hakol v'hu lo ra. So if in a case that he never saw it and he says, yeah, I saw everything, he's going to put himself in a much more compromising position than if he says, I know, and he didn't say. So if he didn't see it and he says, yeah, I know thy signature, it's easy enough to have some mamalata and get out of it if there's a problem with the shtar. So no, but I still recognize the signature, but it's that that loop is a little bit off, or he replicated, he just. But if he says I saw everything, then it better be true. Otherwise, he's going to get himself into a lot of trouble. Because if it's turned out to be not true, then he's going to get the full force of the law. So why does yadati not help for Rabba? Like it helps for Rava. So al-korcha mishum del Rabba havetaima mishum lishma. Because yadati doesn't help because of lishma. Because I know it, so therefore I need lishma. Therefore yadati doesn't help. So now, Tosis has a bit of a strange question here. Vakati tekshi l'rabba, my time lo amri karabba. Still, he should just have the whole thing like, his whole thing is because lishma. So let's forget lishma. Why don't I need yadati? Because I need lishma. So forget lishma, and then I don't need yadati. The first time misham קיום. So Rava's whole because of קיום, and therefore since he needs קיום, therefore yadati works. For yoyol yadati. So why doesn't Rabbah just drop the whole lishma business, hold of קיום shtarus, and then he won't need, and then yadati will work as well. Now this here is a bit of a strange lashon. It says v'shnayim omrim b'fneinu nechtam. It was written. It was nechtam before us. It doesn't say yadanu. Could you say shtayim echad omer b'fnei nechtav v'shnayim omrim yadati? Why didn't it say that? It said davka b'fnei nechtam kosher. Mashman leil Rabbi yadenu lo mahani. And therefore the reason that Rabbah apostles yadanu is not because of he holds a lishma. It's not a subsequence of lishma, but he holds yadanu doesn't work from the Mishnah lekaman, and therefore this also fits into his whole lishma business. And what exactly Rabbah will hold here in this Mishnah, I'm not sure. But that's it. So we have a maklokas here. If you say the yadanu, so basically the chatima comes, you say I know the chatima does that help or not? So Hassan, by the case of Momen, Yadinu. So this is all. So Rabbah is saying this. So he says, so over there, by Momen, Yadinu works, but here you have to say Bifnei. Over there, by Momen, the Isha is not believed by Momen. But over here, the woman is believed, because the woman comes with her own get and says, this get was written before me, she's believed. Over there, by Momen, the Baldavar lo mehemnin. And here, so if the Malva comes and says, this is my star and he owes me the money, he's not believed. Here the Baldavar is the Isha and she's believed. And Rava says, Lacha atu haka ki amri yadinen mi lo mehemni. So really here Rava is saying that Yadanan works. If Bifneinu Nechtav works, because Rava's whole thing is I need Kiyim Shtarus, so for sure Yadin is going to work. If you know the Chatima, then Yadin is going to work. So this is like the fundamental difference between them, that they're arguing here. Since Rava holds that Yadina works, therefore you'll come to mix them up with Mom and Shtaros and think that one's work. Therefore you have to say Nechtav as well to make a difference between this get, and so you don't mix it up with Momen. And Rabbah says you can't say Yadinu and then you say Bifnei Nechtav, and therefore you're not going to mix them up, and therefore that's not the reason it says Bifnei Nechtav, because you're not going to mix them up because you can't say Yadinu. So you say that is Lav Davka, the Mishnah. So Toisvis, Beresha Kontra. So here, Atuki Amrin Yadina Milo Mahani Beresha Kontra. Hoel velidi day Tamisham Kimo Mali Bifnei Mali Yodeani. So it works. This is why Rashi explains it. That's taka the maklokus between Rava and Rabbah. Mashma de Reitze Loimer de Shaliach Mehemnin Ki Amr Yaduani. Yeah, that's what we've been saying. According to Rava, Hatanakid Ki Amrin Yadanu Loshin Rabim. So why is it taka in the Yadanu as Loshin Rabim? V'lo Mar Ki Amar Yadati. This is the Girsa issue. Mishum de Shlichin de Alma. Because it's every shlich that comes. I will say, like it's like in the Arvei Pesachim, every Erev Pesach in every year, multiple of those one Erev Pesachs, multiple of them every year. Kai. So here we have, right, that there's Yadati Ikibenainu. We had, this is a nafkamin. We asked what were the nafkamins between them. Here we have Yadatis. If the 8 says Yadati on the signature, so Rava says that it's a Kiyum, and Rava says he didn't say anything. So that's a good nafkamin. The lo boy lemaknas eila hanhu lamar desarik v'lamar lo tzarik. This is like 100%, because here the Yadanu it's zarach or not, but it works for he needs it and he doesn't need it. And here, Rava, it doesn't work for Rabba, but it works for Rava, but he doesn't need it because Bifnei also works. So therefore, they didn't bring it as not, even though it is an afkamina. Aval tema who to bechol dokta nachet l'Rava b'fnei nechtam lav davka. There you are. That's what you're saying. It's Tosfos' question on the shita and Rava. The whole thing's lav davka. So answer is in yeah, it's lav davka. V'od I b'chad nami mahani yadati hachikama Rava later on. Afilu who v'amar me'edin al chatima shnei pabosel. So we have eid echod is who v'acher me'edin al chatimas eid sheni chatimas eid sheni posel. Te'ilo havi ela hai shliach the minkar shtei chatimas hu kosher. So here we have the case. You have a shliach and an eid echod. So the shliach it gives edus on the chatima, and someone else gives edus on the chatima. So it's called posel. Because if it's just him, the shliach himself, it would be kosher. According to what the way Rashi is explaining Rava, it's kosher with just the shliach recognizing both signatures. So, and then we ask there in the Gemara that one guy's good enough, the shliach is good enough, and then if the second guy's going to come and give edus, is he going to posel it? Why is the second aid making things worse? He's saying the same thing as the first aid. So if the first aid's believed on his own, the second aid is going to come and posel it. That doesn't make any sense. He says that's Taka Rav Ashi's question. That he himself does it, the whole word is kosher. But if someone else joins him in as posel, so that's how Rashi explains the Gemara there. So Tosfos says Ein svara klal shehi Rava toye bekach. So it doesn't make any sense. So that's Taka what Rava was holding. How could that be? That's what Rava was holding. That Rav Ashi comes in the Gemara, asks the question, and then the Gemara comes out with an answer. What Rava was Taka holding, if one guy was said the whole thing himself be kosher and someone else joins in, he postles it. It makes no sense that Rav was actually holding that. V'nira diyadati lo mahani afilu l'Rava. So here Tosfos is now arguing on Rashi on how learning the sugya here that Taka lo yadati doesn't work for Rava. So again, his first question was lav davka. We're not holding by that lav davka. Ad sheyamar b'fnei nechtav. So here but he says it as well. What do you mean ad sheyamar? No, because seemingly he has to say so lo mahani. He has to say b'fnei nechtav v'nechtam mishum dedak tefei k'dershrin. So in the previous Tosfos he's explaining that saying yadati, he doesn't have to say. He doesn't check what's happening so much, because if he gets caught out with I recognize his signature, he's not so bad off. But if he gets caught out by saying I saw this thing, and this aid he signed it in front of me, and this aid said I was never there. Well, how's he going to answer that? But if he says I recognize the signature and the aid says I was never there, it's okay. It'll work out. Yeah, he did a good job there. Yeah, I guess. Look at that. So that's what he said before. So that's why Taka has to say, and he's saying the reason for Rava, why does Rava not work when he just cares about Kiyum Shtaros, as explained by Rashi? So this is Tosfos' whole svara here that you're paying closer attention. V'hachi mefarish Rav Meshulam atu ki amru yadanu shnayim ma'alma shekamu get ze milo mehemni. So if two people say yadanu, are they not believed? The hoel v'mahani bezeh kiyum. The mahani b'shar shtaros ati lachlufe. So since two people will say yadanu, so what Rav is saying, that since two people ba'alma will say that we know it, not the shliach, but some other guys are coming into Beis Din, recognize on the get the two shtaros, that will work, and then we'll come to think that it'll be achlufe on the momun, because it's just one shliach that's bringing them. I'm not sure exactly here at the. So the other ones, you saw two people doing it. Yadanu shnayim ma'alma, she kind of gets so two people know it. So I don't know what exactly he's doing here in the. So it's just something like that, because the eid echod, since two people are believed elsewhere for Kiyum Shtar. And this guy, Shaliach, is coming and saying Kiyum Shtar, so therefore you'll come to Achlufe. And this idea of Yadanu isn't going on that anyone saying it. It's just that over by a real Shtar Kiyum, your two people would work, and here one person works, so you'll come to be Achlufe. Which isn't, I don't know, not in love with that pshat. The Shaliach comes and he says, B'fnei nechtavu, b'fnei nechtam. And that's a kiyum of the get. In other cases, where you have mamun, two people will come and say yadanu. So, and that will makayim that shtar. So I think just because the Shaliach was, of this Eid Echad of the Shaliach was able to makayim the get, I'll come to makayim with just one, I don't need two. Even though two people come over there to say yadanu, I'll think only one is enough. Two people are bringing the get, and they say yadanu, they'll be believed. So therefore now this one guy is also believed with b'fnei nechtam, and you come to compare them. Maybe.